Hello everyone, in this video we're going to draw a goat. First we'll draw a few simple shapes for structure, then we'll add the final drawing on top using easy line work, and then we'll color the drawing for the final result. I'll include a link for the materials used in the description below. Let's jump in. Start by drawing a circle as a guide for the front part of the body. And an easy way to draw a circle is to first make a couple of small marks to indicate the circle's height, and then on the sides make a couple more small marks to indicate the circle's width. Then connect the small marks using curved lines to finish the shape of the circle. Sketch lightly at first so that it's easy to erase if you make a mistake. Also pause the video as you follow along to draw at your own pace. And you don't have to draw a perfect circle, but if you're having trouble drawing one, it's okay to trace the outer edge of a bottle cap or a lid or anything else with a circular edge. And to the left, draw another circle as a guide for the back portion of the body. And we're going to be looking up slightly at the goat, so place this circle a bit lower than the first. Also draw this circle slightly smaller than the first. And because this circle is farther back, don't overlap the first circle as you draw this shape. At the top, draw another circle as a guide for the head. Don't draw this circle too close to the body or the neck will be too short. And draw this circle about 2/3 the size of the first circle. Inside the head circle, draw a curved horizontal line for a construction guide. And draw this line close to the center of the circle. And above that, draw a vertical line for another construction guide. And draw this line to the right of the center of the circle. On the bottom part of the head, draw a small circle as a guide for the muzzle. And the top half of this circle should be inside the head and the bottom half should be outside. On the top right side of the head, draw a small arc-like shape as a guide for the first ear. And draw the top part of the ear using a sloping line and the bottom part using a curved line. And on the left side of the head, draw a similar shape as a guide for the other ear. The shapes of the ears should be long but thin in relation to the head. And on top of the head, draw a couple of curved lines as guides for the horns. The line on the left should curve toward the ear on the left, and the line on the right should curve toward the ear on the right. Make the line on the right a bit shorter because the head is slightly turned. Under the body, draw a couple of long vertical lines as guides for the front legs. These lines should be very long in relation to the body. Bend the bottoms of the lines slightly to indicate joints. Under the circle on the left, draw a long sloping line as a guide for the hind leg. Make this line longer than the lines for the front of the legs. At the bottom, bend the line to create a joint. And to the right, draw a long angled line as a guide for the other hind leg. Bend the line a couple of times to indicate the joints on the leg. Connect the head to the body using a couple of shorter lines to create the guide for the neck. And on the top left side of the body, draw a short line as a guide for the tail. And that's it for the guidelines. Now let's start on the final drawing. Inside the head, lightly sketch 2 small circles for the eyes. And place the eyes on top of the horizontal construction guide and close to the outer edges of the head. Notice how small the eyes are in relation to the head. And when you get the sizes and positions of the eyes right, darken the shapes. As you darken the shape on the left, make the sides pointier to create the corners of the eye. And add a curved line at the bottom for a crease under the eye. Now darken the shape of the eye on the right the same way. Make the sides slightly pointier for the corners of the eye. And add a short line underneath for a crease. Now add a couple of curved lines on the sides of the eyes to give the shapes more structure. Bend the lines to create the muscle structure on the eye sockets. Now draw a couple of longer curved lines along the inner edges of the eyes to create the heavy brow. Inside each eye, draw a tiny circle for highlights. And in the middle of each eye, draw a small oval and shade it in for the pupils. Don't overlap the tiny highlight circles as you shade the pupils. Draw the nose inside the small circle at the bottom. And first draw a short horizontal line for the top part of the nose. And below that, draw a small line that's shaped sort of similar to the letter V for the bottom part of the nose. Draw a short vertical line under the nose for the front part of the muzzle. And at the bottom, draw a short horizontal line for the mouth. And draw a curved vertical line on the right side for the edge of the muzzle. And draw this line along the path of the initial circle. And on the left side, lightly sketch another vertical line for the other edge of the muzzle. Now at the bottom, draw a curved line along the path of the initial circle to create the chin. And break up the line to create a furry texture on the chin. Now draw a few long wavy lines below the chin to create the beard. And make the bottom part of the beard thin and pointy. Don't draw every individual hair strand on the beard, just draw the overall beard as a big shape. Now use the curved line on the top right side of the head as a guide to draw the first horn. And first draw a series of short strokes along the bottom to create the furry base of the horn. Then darken the line at the top to create the top edge of the horn, and at the bottom draw a line that's parallel to the first one to create the bottom edge of the horn. And make the tip of the horn thin and pointy. Now use the curved line on the left as a guide to draw the other horn the same way. Draw a few short strokes at the bottom for the base of the horn, and then darken the line at the top for the top edge of the horn. And at the bottom, draw another curved line for the bottom edge of the horn. And make the tip of the shape thin and pointy. Draw a few short curved lines within the shapes to create the ridges on the horns. Now darken the small arc-like shape on the top right side to create the first ear. And make the lines a bit more curved as you darken the shape. Add a short sloping line within the shape for the inner edge of the ear. And now darken the thin arc on the left side to create the other ear. Make the overall shape of the ear more curved and add a short curved line inside for the inner edge of the ear. Now draw the rest of the head along the basic path of the initial circle. Make the top of the head thinner than the initial guidelines. Connect the shape of the eye on the left to the muzzle at the bottom using a long curved line to create the jaw. And do the same thing on the right side, connect the structure of the eye to the muzzle at the bottom using a curved line. The overall shape of the head should be thinner than the initial circle. Add a few more lines above the nose to give the muzzle more structure. All of these lines should create a shape that's sort of similar to a big letter W. And if you've made it this far, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And now let's move on to the body. Use the second line from the right that's under the body as a guide to draw the front leg. And first, lightly sketch the shape of the leg around the guideline. Make the top part of the leg wide and then gradually make it thinner toward the bottom. Bend the bottom part of the leg slightly to the right to create the joint. When you get the shape of the leg right, darken the lines. Keep the edges of the leg close to the guideline so that the overall shape is thin. Add a couple of curved lines as you darken the shape of the leg to create the joints. Make the bottom part of the shape flat for the hoof. And draw a short angled line at the bottom to split the hoof. Use the line on the right as a guide to draw the other front leg. And first, lightly sketch the shape of the leg around the guideline. Bend the bottom part of the shape to the right to create a joint at the bottom. And when you get the shape of the leg right, darken the lines. The top part of this leg will be hidden behind the body. Darken the shape using a couple of curved lines to create the joints along the path of the leg. At the bottom, draw a small square-like shape for the hoof, and then draw a short vertical line inside to split the hoof. Use the long sloping line on the far left side as a guide to draw the hind leg. And just like with the front legs, first lightly sketch the shape of the hind leg around the guideline. And when you get the shape of the hind leg right, darken the lines. Add a small curved shape near the middle of the leg to create a joint. And at the bottom, bend the shape downward to create the hoof. Now use the angled line to the right as a guide to draw the other hind leg the same way. Lightly sketch the leg around the guideline and only darken the lines when you get the shape right. Bend this shape slightly more because of the position of the leg on the body. Now darken the outer edges of the initial guidelines to create the rest of the body. Make the shapes a bit more angular to create the bone structure. Connect the circles for the body using a couple of short horizontal lines to finish the shape of the torso. Darken the short line on the top left side for the top edge of the tail, and then add a few short angled lines to the left to create the fur on the tail. At the bottom, draw a horizontal line to create a cliff for the goat to stand on. On the right side, curve the line downward for the edge of the cliff. Add a couple more short horizontal lines to emphasize the edge of the cliff. And that's it for the main part of the goat. Now let's move on to finalize the drawing. Now go over the final lines with permanent ink. Take your time and be careful when you ink your drawing to avoid any accidents. Don't ink the initial guidelines, only the final drawing. When the ink dries, erase all of the guidelines. Add a bit more ink to create deeper shadows. Now color your drawing. I'm using markers to color, but you can use colored pencils too. Add a bit of gray across the body to create shadows on the white fur. Shadows will give the figure more dimension and volume. Pick a light source as you color so that the shadows are consistent throughout the figure. Here the light source is coming from the top, so the shadows will be on the undersides of the shapes. Goats have a variety of coat patterns, so you can color yours differently if you'd like. Now color the cliff at the bottom using different shades of brown. Use dark shades of brown for shadows and lighter shades of brown for highlights. If you'd like, you can add a sky background to your drawing. Tape the edges of your paper to create a border. Draw a few curved horizontal shapes using light blue to create clouds. This will create the illusion of the goat being on a high mountaintop. Now color the rest of the background using different shades of blue to create the sky. Color using dark blue at the top and gradually use lighter shades of blue toward the bottom. Don't overlap the goat or the clouds as you color the sky. Go over the multiple sections a few times with the markers to blend the colors together. Add a bit of gray to the clouds to create some shadows. Add a bit more gray to the goat to make it stand out from the background. Go over the final lines again to emphasize the goat and to make the drawing more bold and graphic. Keep coloring until you're happy with the result, and that's it for the goat. Remember to pause the video to draw at your own pace. Also, please visit howtodrawanimals.com for more tutorials. That's how, and then the number 2, then drawanimals.com. If you'd like to support my channel, please consider buying my books on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below. Let me know in the comments what other animals you want to see me draw. Don't forget to leave a like and to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep drawing.